This is Kitzur Yomi as we continue learning Siman Chavav, the halachos of Kaddish Yasaim, and we pick it up from Sif Yod Gimel. Says the Kitzur, Misha Mispalel Beis HaKnesses or Beis HaMedrash Tamid. Someone who regularly davens in a shul or in a Beis Medrash about Leimer Kaddish or Beis HaKnesses Acheres. And now he comes to say Kaddish in a different shul. Ha'avelim Shavisham Yechon L'Tchaisam. The Avelim there are able to push him away. Why? Digara me'areach, he's lower than a guest in such a scenario because he usually does not daven there. Because a guest has nowhere else to say Kaddish, and this person does. So go back to where you normally say Kaddish, not in a negative way, but that's just a mitzias. And therefore, the local people who say Kaddish are able to put him away, to push him away, excuse me. And we continue with Sif Yod Dalit. Says the Kitzur, Misha Yachol V'Royu Lispal of Teva. Someone who is able and worthy. Note 39 points out, he can say the words properly. People want him to daven. People like him as a person. Yisbalel, he should do so. Umal Yaiser, and it helps a lot. It is good for the neshama to daven me Kaddish Yaisam from then just saying Kaddish. As the Kaddish was really created for Kitanim. Someone who cannot daven, someone who cannot. That's why the Kaddish was created. Then he's at least daven the end of davening. Someone who has a greater schos in Kaddish, Kigain, someone who's ben Shiva over a ben Shleishim or ben Shleishim over a year. Yesh Gam Kates Chos Yesir is the largest Chos Be'inyan Tefillah to Dam V'Damid. No Yagin, what is the minik? Shein Avil Masal of Neateva, that Avil does not daven for the Amid B'Shabbos V'Yant. However, Im Gam Koidim Avelos, Ayadarkal Yispal B'Shabbos V'Yantiv, Gam Zan Avelos, Yispalel, Ayin L'Kaman, Tzivkov Chav Ches, and Rule 44 points out that he shouldn't daven on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. And Lamais, this is the reason, certainly if someone is a hired chazin, and even if not, there are times you'll find that even an Avil will daven on Shabbos and Yontiv, and that's the reason why, the reason we're learning here is it's a minog not to, and therefore if someone generally davens or other extenuating reasons, he would be allowed to. We continue with Siftez Vav. Shnayim sheyoshem adin v'kadish, two mourners who are sheshavim, excuse me, not sheyoshem. Sheshavim, they are equal with regarding to say Kaddish, and they both are able, they could say the words, they're both ra'i to daven for the Amud, umerutzim b'shavlar kol, and people like them both. What do? Yatiru gairol. You create a gairol, you create a lottery. Now, note 45 is very important, that why don't we just make two different minyanim? It says note 45, because Brayvam Hajas Melech, and therefore, Ramesha Paskins, that the Pashta says that you do not split up a minyan. Now, if there normally are multiple minyanim, that's a different story. But if there's generally one minyan, Ramesha Paskins, we should not split it up for a novel. Now, of course, different minhagim people have, etc. Says the Kitzur, so what do? She'achli yisbal ad ashe uvaletzion. One daven the first half, a daven sheni yisbal ashe uvaletzion. V'me'achad yainu yachal yisbal of ne'ativ. If one cannot daven, shenim roots like all the people don't want him to daven. V'sala sheni, the other one davens. Lo yif says that shesbal, the one who davened did not lose his chus b'kadish, and there's also say kaddish. V'kamakim yisha levater. Of course, there's always the milah between levatel and niach ha'kadish to allow the other lemishla yisbal mikol shekain laka tanim. And of course, we just pointed again that in our world, that most have the minhag that kadeshim are not only said by one person, it would be a much easier scenario. We continue with Sifteh Zayin, Mishu Avel, Alav V'gam Ali, Imai Mikol Makam, in those chos Yaiser. He doesn't have a larger schos because he's a double Avel. He has the same schos as a regular Avel. But Tfilos V'kadishim, Mishar Avel. Misham, Zikar Nechad, it's one memorial for the neshama. Oila lekanu lekan works for Vos, says Knesset Zechasko. Siv Yatayin Nayagin, Jinam Kadir Rak Acher, Rak Echad Aser Chadashim. Kaddish is said for 11 months. Why? We don't want to say that the parent was a sinner. because the punishment of a rasha is 12 months, and therefore the reason, as we learned in note 49, the reason we're saying Kaddish is to give them zchosim, to save the deceased from Gehenim, and therefore the maximum time we're going to do is 11 months to show that we don't think that they are Rishon. Shemeiz derech mashal yud shvat, pasik loymar tes tevis, or yud tevis lo yomer. So the day of the Petira, when it becomes the yahrzeit, which really isn't the yahrzeit because it's a month earlier, then you stop. The first day of the 12th month. A day is considered a month. And then it would be as if he said it for 12 months. So you do not say it on that first day of the month, and you stop a day earlier on the 9th. Well, Indians that my name we go by the day of the burial. For example, you start in Yud Tevis. Because the punishment is not tzara, says the Pri Megadim. But now what? So therefore, in a general sense, one has to remember, and often this is very relevant if the kavura is in Eretz Yisrael, for example, and therefore it could be a day or sometimes even two later, depending on exactly the time of the nift, the time of the misa. And therefore we realize that when it comes to saying Kaddish, it comes to Damni for the Amid, it goes by the kavura, because that's when the mishpat begins in Shammai. Now by Shana Mubaris, this was last year, Shana Mubaris says the Kitzur, Paisik Tes, a Yud Kislev, we go by Tes, a Yud Kislev, we go by Tes or Yud Kislev. Note 51 points out that when we have a double Adar, we have 13-month year. So what do? You still go by 11 months, a month earlier than the regular year. On the day that he stops saying Kaddish, he gets all the Kaddishim, only Yartzeit gets one Kaddish. Then he's pushed away because of them. Let's say Rachmana litzlan, someone knows that a parent is a Rasha, someone knows that they're going to have a 12-month on Gehenim Rachmana litzlan. Of course, because at least give them this chosim, says the Pischei Tshuva. And we continue with Sif Yurches, Kishish Harbe Avelim Rachmana litzlan. If you have multiple Avelim, we don't want fights. And this is what we've mentioned many times, that Lamaisa we allow multiple people to say Kaddish together. Says the Kitzur Sif Yotes in Beisagina, says Avil Avil. There's not an Ashul and Avil for a parent, Kaddish, then who should say this Kaddish? Someone Mishain Loi Av Va'im, someone who does not have parents. Note 57 points out, which again it might come as a bit of a shock, that even one who has parents is allowed to say this Kaddish as long as he knows his parents would not object. Ba'ad call Mesi Yisrael on behalf of all those who died. That other relatives say Kaddish if there are no children. And even when there are, someone wants to say Kaddish for a grandparent who died without children, or a child that died without children, allow him to say one Kaddish, have to say all the Kaddish. So again, we're seeing that Kaddish is allowed to be said by anyone really, and therefore certainly if someone wants to say for a grandparent, etc. Some have a minog shegam shar krivim Kaddish. They make a pshara, compromise, and say all of them. But again, we mentioned that we're going to allow more than one person to say Kaddish, so it's not going to be so relevant in our world. We wrap this up with Siv Chaf and Chaf Aleph, says the Kitzur. Habas ein la loimer Kaddish, is a daughter, does not say Kaddish in shul. Some say she wants to make a mini shetamer. Some say Kaddish or shus beyadim. She's allowed to, says the Knesset Cheskel. We should not even do that. Says the Chavois Yoyer. Says the Chavois Yoyer. And that's obviously the general minog, is that girls, women do not say Kaddish. Mishahayu lo yartzei tzonaz yartzav yachol emer Kaddish ki goin shaya baderech ashla yigia lo Kaddish yachol emer Kaddish v'das avsh lach yartzei. You can say Kaddish on the Ma'ariv after the yartzeit. We'll pick it up from Sif Chav Beis v'siyata d'Shemaya.